Welcome to all the dear faculty members. We are just waiting for a couple of minutes for everyone to join in. Just one more minute and then we will start. Welcome participants. Starting now, the session today is on OpenAI tools. Before we just a couple of housekeeping instructions for all. Your attendance will be tracked through Zoom and we will upload it on AICT portal. Second thing is that your assessment is on Future Skills Prime. So I'll request you all, you would have all received the welcome. So your attendance is tracked through Zoom and your assessment will be on Future Skills Prime. You would have all received an email from Future Skills Prime. So please log into the course. There you will see your group. Just if you go on groups, you will see your course. You log into the course, you complete the course, and then you can take the assessment. For the assessment, you don't have to pay anything. We will be sharing a coupon code with you by Thursday or Friday, and you can use that coupon code to take the assessment on Future Skills Prime. The assessment is not on Atal portal, so I am just clearing that now. And with that, we will move on to the first session of the day, which is OpenAI. We are very happy to have Mr. Srijit Nair with us, who is an expert trainer, and he has taken previous sessions in Atal online FTP as well. uh, Srijit is a tech. Srijit, I'll request you to please
Yeah,
join in.
hi, hello everyone. I didn't realize I was saying hi. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll just introduce you. So, Srijit is a technology driven development strategist with over 2 decades of experience in innovation, policy, and social impact. With an MTech and MSW, he combines technical knowledge with a deep understanding of people and communities. He designs and manages programs that use technology to make social initiatives more efficient, transparent, and impactful. As a consultant with IIT Delhi for the Abhay Sarthi program, he helps to integrate digital tools to improve the safety of India's truck drivers. So he believes that technology and empathy must work together to drive real change. And his training, as you will see in the session, is practical and easy to apply. So it's a session where you will learn a lot on how to use these tools and uh, be more productive using these tools. So over to you, Srijit. Please take it.
Thank you,
Take it away.
Kamna. And hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. So, here we would be digging deeper into OpenAI based generative AI. So, we call it OpenAI based, but since OpenAI is how it started, uh, the word has been very synonymously used along with generative AI. But however, generative AI has now moved on beyond the basics where it started. Lot of tools, more than 4,000 tools exist as of now. So I'll call it a generative AI learning session focusing upon prompting and image generation. Those would be the basics that we would be learning over the next 1.5 hours. I'll very quickly take you to the presentation now. Yes. Visible to all? Are
Audience,
you able
please
to?
type your answers in the
Yes.
chat box. Please engage and interact and ask your questions. Thank you.
So before we start, I'll say that uh, open AI or learning AI, that is something, it's just quite simple because just with a prompt you can start. But the fundamentals, what exactly it is, how it is evolving, where it is going, those are the aspects that are very interesting. Keeping updated, it's just learning is very easy. You post this session, the basics you would be able to understand. The hype and interest will ensure that over the next week, because there are sessions that will go on through the week, and it will keep you very much interested over the next few weeks. But keeping yourself upgraded is something that is a challenge here. It's not learning, keeping yourself updated, because say you can go obsolete within 3 months. What you know, it's the basic fundamentals. Yes, you won't ever be going obsolete, but what exactly has been each product's features, what kind of models have been introduced, that is where the upgradation or updation is required on a week to week basis. So that would be the uh, challenging part, but very interesting the way everything is evolving now. Before I start, there are some use cases that, based on previous interactions, these has been the things that everybody has been looking for. So I thought that I should be starting with these particular use cases, particularly for you, how it can help. So lesson planning and concept simplification is something that you can look at when you are using AI. So generating analogies, step by step derivations, how the concepts can be summarized, how say elements like visually how I can explain it, how I can point by point have memory triggering summaries, something that it summarizes at the same time easy to remember or trigger or recall. So those kind of summaries you can have and simplify the concepts. Again, assessment question bank creation is something that is very interesting when it comes to using OpenAI or generative AI. Research and proposal writing, say, and this is a gray area. By research writing, a lot of responses come that if we are using it for research, isn't that copying or plagiarizing the entire work? So I'll say that previously, while I was a student, it took me at least week to 2 weeks just to go by all the reference books, reference materials, and articles available, and then I would come across say 10 or 12 material that I can read, and then it will help me to form the understanding, the knowledge that will help me write something. So that 2 weeks of search has now been reduced to minutes only because of this generative AI initiatives or the large language models. So that is where all the what exactly to uh, the citations required, how to summarize the literature, draft abstracts, and structure research proposals. So those aspects, elements, it has immensely reduced the time required. So it's almost like when we used to use typewriters, then shifted to keyboards. So deleting something and adding on or editing. So you are not required anymore to just replace the entire paper when some word was mistyped. So you could just delete, form the entire thing, and then take a print. So similarly, the reduction in time is something when it comes to research proposal and writing that you can use. I have also shared some example props which will help you understand better. Lab manuals experiment support what exactly say the SOPs, how exactly to perform a particular exam lab experiment. So those kind of material you can have it developed. Another aspect is that say technology wise, since AICT faculty always deals with the newer technology and there is a lot of upgradation happening. So it might sometime happen that we already have decided to move on to something, yet the material and the manuals, the reference books are yet to arrive. So those are the aspects when say guiding the student, referring to what or upgrading yourself, those aspects becomes very easy for you. And then, of course, continuous learning and upskilling is something you can very easily do with this. New technologies, what is happening, how aligned each aspect is, and what is the newest in the teaching platform. Those are aspects that you can find out. So it helps with all of these aspects. So for you, I believe these are the areas of interest. Anything else? Of course, you can. We are keeping it interactive. You can ask me when I go through each of these. So first of all, I'll start with what exactly is generative AI. So it refers to the class of AI, artificial intelligence systems designed to create new and original content. So by new and original content, the question arises that if it is all learnt from the existing materials, can we say it is an original content? So we can say it is original because say if it is an image generated, it is something that never existed before. It can be learnt from an existing image, but it didn't used to exist before it was created. Same is text. So that way, what it's creating is original content. It can create text, images, code, audio, and video. And by learning patterns and relations of existing data, it is possible to do that. So now, say generative AI being the core, or the generative AI is large language models only. So what we are normally referring to is AI. So beyond, if AI is the surface, then for that to happen, there is machine learning that is happening. There is deeper learning, neural network related initiatives that is happening. And of course, then there is a large language model where deep learning architects, transformers are enabling prediction of data. And that leads to generation of the responses that is required. So that is how the entire large language model aspect works. So as of now, we can say when we refer to generative AI, it is a platform, a large language model being the core that is common. Whether you are using chat GPT, whether you are using Claude, Perplexity. So those are the large language models deep within, and the front end or the algorithm that or the model that is using that large language model can be chat GPT or some other model. So any inputs or responses for this? I'm very quickly taking you through the basics because there would be a lot of covering up of these in detail when it comes to other sessions. So I'll just move on to prompts and what exactly it is and why it matters. A prompt is a question or instruction you can give to an AI. It is just basically like we normal in a regular classroom, you might be interacting with students, and the students, based on what has been taught before by other faculties and what has been taught by you, it would they would understand that there is a pattern. Okay, the teacher arrives and the topics are discussed, but then the context is set, then examples are given. That examples help them to understand, learn, and that is how they themselves grow. So same is something that a prompt or a language-based communication does to a large language model like ChatGPT. Clearer the instruction, the question, the better the answer. So when you give a clear instruction to a student, they understand it and they respond accordingly. And that is the basic same thing that happens when you are prompting or using a large language model. So why does a good prompt matter? And whenever say you want to grow in this field or seek more knowledge, create more text, images, videos. So the simplicity and the concept behind it will help you understand and deliver better. So a clear prompt gives focused, accurate answers. A vague prompt gives general or confusing answers. So it can be that basic, say something just to simplify it, like say, what is a smartphone? That can be a very simple and very clear prompt. At the same time, you can say that there is this device with display and a lot of processing power using softwares like iOS and Android that I use. So can you describe what exactly it is? So you are using the actual definition, but making it more complex. So sometimes having a basic is better than giving them a complex uh, query. It is also absolutely necessary that a well written prompt is used to save time, bring creative and relevant results. So a weak prompt here is explain the population density. So a strong prompt can be explain the factors affecting population density, because explain population density is just saying in general for where, what kind of response are you looking at. It is a shorter response, how many words, nothing is mentioned here. A strong prompt can be explain the factors affecting population density in India, for whom, and in how many words. So the improved, when you say such a very simple example, it helps you understand that what exactly to ask for and what kind of results can come when you are seeking a particular kind of query, giving a particular kind of query. So I'll go now with how the generative AI works from prompt to output. Uh, so what happens is that whenever you are prompting, you give AI an instruction that is a message. So text is given, and based on text, the AI, what it does is that it breaks the text into small tokens. And each of the token, it helps understand, say, if the query is explain machine learning to first year engineering students. So first the text goes in, then the text is understood as an input message. Now it is broken into chunks like explain, machine learning to first year engineering and students. So here it would be converted into how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is 8 token worth of a query. So you might, whenever you are going through a particular uh, new kind of a platform, you will always see that X number of tokens are free. Beyond that, it would be chargeable. So in general, any of the platforms you see, if it is a freemium or a premium kind of a platform, you'll always see X tokens free and X beyond X. This is the pricing. So these are examples of how tokenization works. So it will break here. In this example, it would be 8 tokens. Then those particular tokens are converted into a numeric vector. So now numeric vector say there are a limited number of words in a particular language model. So what any language model does is that it goes across internet, learns all kinds of words. Um, Particularly, it can be English, can be say 1 to 2 lakh words, then multiple languages, what kind of words exist, and it will categorize all words and it will form a vector. So those of you who understand vector better, it would be easier for you to understand. But otherwise, it is like a three-dimensional room full of words structured, or more towards four dimension. It is. Yeah, I can explain it as an example is three-dimensional. A room full of words, each categorized, and any word able to link to anyone. So that kind of vector numeric variation is how it is embedded. So the word machine then becomes number like 0.12, 0.86, a mathematical version of the meaning. So now when it is embedded, it is taken into the language model, and then the transformer processing happens. So here the neural network finds the relationship between tokens to understand the context and predict what comes next. So it is almost like so now these 8 tokens taken in, converted, and each of the tokens converted in or embedded uh, can correlate to certain meanings. Now the neural networks using these words will understand what exactly it is that is seeked, for whom it is seeked, what is the response that is required, in how many words it might be required, based on which it would understand the machine and learnings go together as a concept, not as a random words. And it will start creating particular possibilities, probabilities. And based on the probabilities, the AI predicts the next most likely word. So it can be like um, today, uh, AICT faculty are learning X. Now X can be what? So it's the context is that it is a particular course on AI. So now there are 8 or 20, 10 or 12 subjects, well, what that comes under that particular domain. So it might be one of the 12 aspects that is being learned in this particular session. So it then predicts. So it's day two. Day two, there are 3 sessions. Based on the time that the query is seeked, it might be the OpenAI session. So that's how it can predict. So the prediction happens, and AI automatically guesses the next word. And with that particular combination, uh, the prediction happens, and a particular text or image is generated. So now when it's generated, then you always have a this option of giving a feedback that X needs to change. X is what was expected or not expected, based on which again the prompt goes in tokenization, embedding to prediction, everything happens. That is how you can generate the first response, and eventually you can look at more and more refined responses coming in. So that's the entire process that is happening in the background. So I hope very quickly I was able to clear this particular aspect. Any questions on this? Okay, now just move to the practical aspects. So popular LLMs. I'd like to just take you through this. You don't need to uh, write this. I'll be sharing the PPT later. The most popular, say, ChatGPT is something for which with OpenAI we all started. Its key strengths are it is conversational reasoning, text generation happens, coding and multimodal outputs. It can generate text, image, voice. Now within ChatGPT, OpenAI, what it has done is that it has made the video generation also free in certain parts of the world. So anybody, any of your colleagues or connects sitting out of USA, they can also use ChatGPT to create video that eventually will be coming to India also pretty soon. Claude is another LLM that is developed by Anthropic, and it has a comparatively long context of memory. It is business friendly, and it is something that gives you very good responses if you want to creatively do something. Say creatively, if you want to say there's a speech that you want to write or any creative aspect. So same prompt you give it to some other language models, and this one you will see that Claude would be giving you more creative sort of responses. There is Gemini. That's the something that Google has created. It is integrated with Google Workspace, strong with reasoning and coding, but overall it lacks like it somewhere is compared to some previous versions of Claude or ChatGPT. So as of now, Gemini is something that I don't recommend, but pretty soon, like second half of this month itself, Gemini 3 is being launched, and that I believe is very promising. So, whosoever is part of this session, just look for Gemini's version 3 when it comes up somewhere around end of this month. Do practice it. It seems to be very promising whenever it comes. So, as of now, not recommending Gemini for overall, but yeah, it is quite good. Gemini, yeah, it is very good as of now for image generation, free image generation, that is. Then there is Perplexity. Perplexity, it's a hybrid where GPT-4 and the certain proprietary language models are combined to create web search. It is something that we are proud that an Indian is behind the concept, and he is the CEO. So, and for India, it is free for any of the Airtel users. Any Airtel user can use it for free. So anybody who wants evidence-based or citation or source-based searches can use Perplexity. It's very good when those citations are required. Of course, there is Copilot also. Copilot is nothing but GPT-4 only. Then we have Meta, that is with Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp users have access to these particular tools in their respective interfaces. What you see when you use WhatsApp AI is Meta AI only. So that is again a free model that has been uh, existing. And last 2 3 weeks, it has become very promising, and it is keeping on getting better. But yeah, again, certain limitations. Like I was very happy to see what how it was evolving 2 weeks back. But again, last 2 weeks, a lot of confusion has been taking place. But yeah, it is evolving at a very good rate. And then there is DeepSeek's that is almost efficient and very low cost. It is something that is open source. Somebody who wants to get into agentics, wants to develop, say, an automation tool, for them, something that has low cost tokens available. Uh, that tool appeals. So that is where DeepSeek is quite popular for developers who are looking at automation. So these are the particular popular large language models that exist as of now. I'm sharing the official links for it. And how I use these is that for me, ChatGPT is the overall assistant that I use. Anything basic, the go-to would be ChatGPT because, and I have the full version of it. The good thing is that for India, there is a plan called ChatGPT Go that is now accessible free for everybody. So, has anybody started using ChatGPT Go, the free version? So it's free now. You can start using it. If some of you were not aware of it, the full version, though, say the premium version that is free, available for free as of now, has got some other search options, very interesting ones that you can start using. For anything that requires creativity, say there's a social media post or there's some idea that, okay, connect X to Y and see how there is a correlation between these things and create text, a social media post, an image, prompt, something like this. Claude will give you wonderful creativity related idea. So anything where I would like to use creativity, I would like very good text coming out. Claude is something that is a go-to for me. And anything where I require source citations, authenticity of a news, whether it is fake or real. So Perplexity is something that I normally use. Then Copilot and others, it's not frequently used, but yeah, always better to keep on updating ourselves. So these are the basic three that I normally use. And then within Perplexity, something else has come up, which is very good. I'll take you through it. I'm just keeping tab of the time as well. Yeah. So now I'll focus on how to, the importance of writing effective prompts and how to do it. So the basic element that I'll say, whenever you are using, say you want to prompt, that prompt should start with assigning a role. That is always better. So as what it means, assigning a role is assign AI a specific identity or expertise. Say your prompt can start with you are an engineering pedagogy expert designing a FDP for AI in teaching. So that is something that say you want to be create something. Uh, so just assume that the AI is a pedagogy expert first, and then say that ki, what are you expecting creating faculty development programs for AI in teaching. So you are giving it a role. So that role helps the model adopt to a particular style. So now the model knows that ki I need to uh, assume the role of a pedagogy expert. For whom? For a faculty, for what? For a faculty development program. What is the topic? Topic is AI. AI in teaching. So, and then create a particular pedagogy. So it will start thinking like a pedagogy expert who has been working with engineering students and creating faculty development programs. So once the rule is set, then we can look at the objective. So by objective, we mean defining what we want to clearly achieve. So that should be very focused and measurable. We can here say that create a 3-slide concept summary on how generative AI helps engineering faculty. Being very specific, it can be 3-slide concept summary, it can be something like a 10 slide detailed summary, or category wise go up to 30 slides and have a very detailed session which can be spread across 2 days and 4 sessions pre post lunch. So you can just give them the objective and then the context, add background details or the constraints, make the AI response aligned to your audience or purpose. You can say that audience is AICT approved engineering faculty. I'm using the real case scenario here with limited AI exposure. The format should be short, slide style, and then we can come to the task. Here, the task is what exactly is that you need to do. So here the idea is that give clear understanding what exactly you want it to achieve. And say here the example is list 5 practical classroom use cases with short examples. Exactly what you want. You can ask it to do that. So I'll just use this particular prompt. come to ChatGPT and paste what we experienced here within the example. That you are an AI training specialist, that is the role, conducting a faculty development session for AICTE colleges. The objective is to explain how teachers can use generative AI, improving efficiency. That is the objective. The context participants are mostly for computers, electronics, engineering backgrounds, and new to GPT. And the task is create a 5 slide outline with examples showing classroom applications, one per slide. So this becomes a prompt. What we are using here is role, any role. Within the role, what exactly is the objective, post objective, what is the context, and what is the task that you want the large language model to achieve. We will share it and it will go through the detail. So here to get the maximum, the bestest of output, please ensure that here the chat GPT model that you are looking at is auto. That is by default, whatever the best model is. Mostly it uses chat GPT 5 model only. That is the most advanced model as of now. And create a slide wise output. You can just say that key with the full version, the premium version that is available for free, this would be possible. Convert this or say, can I get a PPT version of this? So it will start creating the same version. The same I can give to Claude also. Some technical issue with Claude as of now. I'll use the same with Perplexity. So Perplexity, same ROCT format I am using. What it will do, it will not only share the particular slide, but here it will also tell me what are the sources that it is using. Okay, it's not giving the citation. I'll just come back to here where I just mentioned creating the PPT, and now we have a faculty development PPT ready. So if you use the latest version of PowerPoint, you can start using the designer and create a detailed PowerPoint like this. So these aspects would be very much possible with ChatGPT. So here what we have done is that we have used, say, yeah. Here I used ChatGPT ROCT format to create a prompt. Using that prompt, I created a slide and I just asked it to download the particular slide in a PowerPoint format, and it shared a PPT with me. Same you can use for multiple text-based generations. Coming back to the Perplexity one, I believe it was very specific task I asked, but something like what is AICTE, if I am looking at it, it will just mention that it has looked at four sources. What are the four sources and what exactly is it that it has found? It always gives the references. It also mentions here what has been the images that it has referred to, and accordingly, it will create, it will hear. So now it is, since it is a source, previous was a task, I believe for it, it was not showing the sources. It normally does, but that was an exception. So here it shows all seven sources that we have used. You can go to those particular sources and get more details. At the same time, it also shows what exactly, with that particular context, you can search further. Say full form and role of AICTE. So it will search, it will share the details. So any questions regarding this? What exactly, any particular questions that you would like me to answer? So I believe today I can see a lesser engagement. So am I audible? Yeah, am I audible? Yes. Okay, makes sense. So any particular question? Okay, it's in chat window that most of you might be asking. Okay, so I'm just taking you through now the creative aspect, how a model to model, what differences exist. So ChatGPT, you can see it's going through better structures and everything. It is asking that these are the slides that is being created. Say shows how to generate lesson plans and course materials quickly with binary search trees example. So it becomes more creative whenever it shows some details. Demonstrates creating MCQs, coding problems, rubrics, data normalized examples. So then I can go specifically ask it to develop this. It wonderfully creatively does all these aspects and comes back. So any slide generation, something like this, please do look at how Claude is performing. I believe it is facing some server trouble as of now. It hardly happens with Claude AI. This might be an exception. So then I also shared the details of Perplexity with you. Perplexity, I would, since it is a free tool, much similar to now how ChatGPT is, I will go with a bit more detail on how you can use Perplexity in your uh, prompting journey. So one aspect, the ROCT format, I have already shared with you. Another master prompt I will say is the role. Assume you are an expert in prompt generation. Now, this is the role. Objective. What can be the objective? Uh, your objective is to create creative examples for third year mechanical students on robotics and AI. Context in their third year and mostly from tier 2 cities with limited exposure. So it understands now that the students have limited exposure. So it needs to keep that in mind. And then task is to create 10 slide, 10 pointer. There might be a upcoming robotic competition in 6 months. So how they can plan. So now ask questions for individual students that need help with this task and create prompts that help them to create custom roadmaps over next 6 months. So here, what I have done is that I am saying that you are a prompt generation engineer. Then your objective is to create examples for third-year mechanical students on robotics and AI. The context is that students are in their third year and mostly from tier 2 cities with limited exposure. Your task is to create 10 pointers for how students should plan for upcoming robotics competition. And now each of the student might be looking at what kind of things to do, what exactly is there on understanding. So it can just ask questions, the student can answer, then it will create a custom prompt for a particular student. Using that prompt, it can just apply the learnings, apply the prompt and get personalized answers. So this is one example. Another can be, very simple one, assume you are a expert in prompt engineering. Ask questions to me one at a time and help me generate a prompt. Use role, context, and task model to frame the questions. I'm complicating. You can just skip the second line. Even assume you are a prompt engineering expert and ask one question at a time to me and help me create. So now it will uh, start asking questions. So what type of outcome do you prefer to generate? To produce ideas, text, analysis, code, images. So text, a 6-month plan to prepare for a robotics competition. So I've given the first question based on which it will correlate and give you suggestions as well. So should it be a robotics mentor, AI engineer competition coach, etc. So I'll say robotics. Who's the audience? So mixed college teams and working robo prototype might be something that I might be looking at. What kind of robotics competition are we preparing for? So it can be BattleBot, one of the favorites among students. It can be limited budget. So what is available in this college and what is not available, and month wise is what I would be looking at. So based on this, and okay, this all plan for all, whatever the suggestion is, and concise is what I'm looking at. So now it has created a prompt. So as a prompt engineer, it has worked and it has created a detailed prompt on what exactly is it that I want. So instead of going manually step by step and yet not um, gaining the best of the responses from the large language model, I can ask it itself to create a prompt and help me get to what I want. So now I use this, share here, and it creates a 6 months roadmap based on what is the lacking that I have and other aspects, what is available. So yeah, so this is how you can either use ROCT framework, or you can just ask the ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity to be your guide as a prompt engineer and come up with basic prompts. But better than this, just don't copy. Whenever you are creating a prompt, don't just copy it and paste it. There is a lot that you yourself, once you have a structure in place, you can add more to it. Say some of you can just look at the role and say that you can make it better. That one, like you are an expert robotics mentor guiding college students with mixed engineering background. So you, so was there a question? No. So there might be certain tweakings that you can do. You can mention additional one or two lines that further makes it a very detailed prompt. The context: the team is preparing for battlebot competition over 6 months. They have limited budget, restricted mentor access, and access to Arduino-based boards. You can say that there are X and Y other things that is available in college. That will give it a better context. And then task: what exactly is it that required, and it will just edit it whenever you are using OpenAI or ChatGPT itself. You can just create a particular prompt like this, edit it, and then use it. That would be one suggestion. So these are basic Claude, Perplexity, and Google Gemini that I normally use. Within Gemini, there is a image generation aspect that is very good. I'll share it soon. Meanwhile, I'll just introduce you to something else that apart from this helps, that is available. Apart from the regular prompt large language models, this is one pretty unique thing that is available to all Google users, and it is available for free. What you can do is that whenever there is a particular uh, resource available with you, you can upload one such source. Say what I did here. I'll just say I'm working on a road safety program. So what I did is that I had just downloaded Ministry of Road Transport and Highways Road Safety Protocol book. So now I can what through Notebook LM, what I can do is that I can use it and chat with this. So I have downloaded this, and there is a video overview view it can create. There is a mind map that it can create. Say there is a video overview. There is I'll start with the video overview is just happening. In between, what I'll do is that I'll show you how it can create a podcast for me.
Welcome to the deep dive, your shortcut to being instantly well informed.
So see, here what I did is that I just wanted an audio overview. So it has created a podcast based on the road safety book that I have shared. And I can listen to this podcast, and I can just learn from this.
Diving deep into something, well, surprisingly complex, but absolutely vital. Road safety.
I hope you are able to listen to the audio that is coming in. Yes. Okay. So somebody has the questions, Shashwati Mukherjee, is it commercial ChatGPT 5? No, it's free now. For India users, it is free. So ChatGPT 1, there is a uh, free version that is available. You can go subscribe to it, and it's available for free. So coming back, just look at, just listen to this audio.
And look, this isn't just about, following the rules. It's really about a critical system for life itself. Our guide for this deep dive. It's a fascinating source. The book on road safety signage is.
I just forwarded
They're
it.
tackling it head on with this big multi-pronged strategy for road safety. And this book, it's actually a key part of that, really focused on raising public awareness. It really hammers home that core theme, something echoed by the UN Secretary General back in 2015. Safety is not just a slogan, it's a way of life.
Safety is a way of life.
So here, so what it is, did you hear both, there are two characters who are chatting with each other? Yes. So now what you can also do is that you can have an interactive mode. So there are two people who are talking about road safety here. So
Whoa,
now,
did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
so I just had this question that what about road safety in particular context of India? Yes, you there? Can you answer this question?
Oh, hey, welcome. What's up?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you describe the context with India specific examples? So, my apologies. I believe it is my internet. It's showing that it's a bit strained as of now. But what it does when you give it good internet is that you can create a podcast where two people are talking to each other, and you can join in the podcast as a third person, and you can talk to two people about the book that you have uploaded. So that's amazing, the kind of interactive uh, material that, and it's a new addition that has recently come up. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Like, just imagine you just upload any book of yours. Two people are talking on the book, and you can talk to two people and keep it as a podcast. You become the third person in a podcast, and that also a live podcast where everything is being there is an interaction happening and two people are responding to you. So that is possible. Same is with video overview. What you can do is that a video overview gives you a particular any book. It will go through the entire book and create PPTs. It is like somebody is taking a PowerPoint based presentation on the entire book and helping me understand and take it uh, section by section. So it creates video overview. It also helps with the creation of mind maps, where all these mind maps, what exactly is covered in the book, how it is taken care of category wise, and what are the subsections. Everything a mind map is generated, and same is you can create quiz out of this. You can create flashcards, something on a particular topic that you want. You can create flashcards, or that helps you keep certain aspects in your memory whenever you are taking a presentation. Can generate reports as well. Conduct mock interviews for students to get them ready for a placement drive? Absolutely. But mock interview on what? So if it is based on the entire curriculum or certain aspects, so you need to upload everything here. On the left side, you see whatever you upload here is what for is something for which you can ask queries. So do remember, it is always limited to what you have uploaded in the left side. It can't go beyond that. It will say that okay, this we can take it later or something like that. It won't be. But anything specific you give, it you can join in as a third person. You can ask them also to make a query to you, and it will do that as well. Yes, it is possible. However, limited to all the material that you need to upload here. So what you can do is that you can just upload a particular book on a topic, and join in, start the audio overview, join in as a third person, and you can say that key, I am also an expert in this. I have read through the book. Can you just have an interaction with me and interview me on this particular topic? It will do that. Very easy. So this is an amazing learning tool that has been created by Google. And the good thing is that there is no limit to how much you can upload. You can say the entire syllabus for one particular year, one particular semester within a topic, or the entire everything you can upload. You can also look at how subject help me with the examples in subject two. Say there are two subjects. One is very easy for me to understand, the other one is tough for me. Say for me, particularly geography was always very interesting. However, math was very tough for me. So if this model was available, what I would have done, how I would have learned, is that I would have uploaded my geography lessons. I would have uploaded my math lesson. I would have picked up a geography favorite chapter, and I would have said that key. With exams from this chapter, help me understand chapter 7 of my maths curriculum, or X kind of whatever it is that I need to understand. Say Pythagoras theorem, trigonometry, whatever it is. Trigonometry, there is X particular question. So help me understand with an example from this particular chapter in geography. It would correlate, it will explain me using those particular chapters. So those aspects help us understand and make the learning quite interactive and very engaging. So new age, this is an absolutely good tool that you can use. If you're whenever you have high internet, say 300 MB speed or more, you can always use this model and try what exactly it can do. So my internet is limited, otherwise I would have loved sharing the same. There might be some other ones that I already have. So this is another video that I had created. It's another book. Deconstructing 1984 is a book that I have used. So
Welcome
it,
to the
it, it has
Explainer.
created an entire
Today,
video.
we're taking a tour through one of the most chilling, influential worlds ever created, George Orwell's Oceania. We're going to deconstruct this. And finally, we'll see what happens when someone dares to think for themselves. 1. While life is pretty much a sentence.
Hope you are able to see this. It has created an entire video.
Okay, so let's head over to where our main guy. It's a total surrender of your own memory to the party. All right, so now that we've seen how the party messes with the individual mind, let's zoom out a bit and see how it controls the whole of society.
I'm stopping
Who
here.
are these people living under this system? Eight.
So these are the basics of, say, although generative AI has developed and these very good large language models are available, this notebook LM is something very specific to you, which can help you get better in specific use cases. So I'll stop here for the uh, generative AI aspect. I'll come back to. Yeah. So image generation. So the section you would be, it's very relative to Midjourney AI, creating art with AI as a topic if you are going through the online future skills one. However, it's not limited to Midjourney. There are n number of other things that have come up now. So what exactly is AI image generation? It's an art generator that turns text or image prompts into unique artworks. How it does it is that it creates a particular, it uses the text interface. Tokenization is something that happens using those particular tokens. It further creates that neural aspect. Then it goes to certain other aspects. It uses a model that I'll share in the next few slides, and then it creates images. So basically how the tokens are broken down, those aspects remain the same. What happens post that, how the learning differs, I'll share it with you. So you just prompted, type a prompt, AI interprets and generates 4 images. That happens in Midjourney. And there are other image generation aspects that you can use as well, which has multiple other options available. Customization, you can adjust style, resolution, aspect, creativity level, and there is an ease of use that comes with image generating tools that you can use. You can also use image generation to create multiple styles, further fine tune and edit what you have generated. You can also have automation aspects included, and learning algorithm is something that multiple styles you can look at and keep on updating. So these aspects I'll just very quickly take you through. Image generation aspect. So what happens is that once the model understands through tokens what exactly it needs to done, it goes through a GAN model. That is one thing that AI uses to generate images. So it stands for generative adversarial networks. So how the model is trained is very interesting here. So what it does is that at the same time, it the model has gone through millions of images. There are two models that learn from the images at the same time. We train a generator model. The generator model is trained that look at this image, understand the image, and generate something like this. So that is on millions of images, a generator model learns this. At the same time, there is a discriminator model which, based on the same reference files, is trained to understand what exactly is this image and when this is not an image. We call it discriminator model. So here a generator model creates images from a text prompt. So once you give it a text prompt to create a picture of Mona Lisa, so it starts creating it from the background. It starts creating something. At the same time, whenever it creates something, there is a discriminator algorithm running along with this. What it will do is that every time it generates, it will ask the discriminator, is it Mona Lisa? No, it is not. It will again go, again develop it a bit. Now, is it? It will say no, and it will say ki X or Y is not matching. So it will say why it is not a Mona Lisa. Based on which the feedback is taken, it again goes back, and this keeps on happening thousands of times. And eventually, a point comes where the discriminator will say, okay, this is what it looks like based on my learning. And generator will say that based on my learning, this is what I am supposed to make. At a point that both agrees, they will have the final image come up, and it is displayed to us. So that is what happens within the background. And once it happens, the response is shared with us in terms of a generated AI generated image. So it's mostly the chore police aspect that you see. That is something that happens within this algorithm model. So pretty interesting the way it works. So that is the background of how it happens. Now I'll very quickly take you through the frameworks that it use. There are multiple, say for image generation also, or any prompt, there are multiple models available. You can create your own based on your college, certain narratives that you, certain acronyms that you use. You can have something related to those and create on your own versions as well. Say atmosphere, visual style and settings. Then within atmosphere, what exactly the character to narrative all coming under one. So those kind of descriptions you can have. Here I am using this canvas, which is a particular, since it is something related to a visual cue. So I am using canvas as the framework to share how one kind of image prompting prompt can be made. So you can start with C. C is the character. So if you want to generate an image, define the main subject or what to focus on your image. What we mentioned previously, create a portrait of Mona Lisa. Character is Mona Lisa. So it, from the millions of images available, it will search for a picture like that. Here I'm giving you another prompt: an engineering professor explaining AI to students. So that is something that we would like to see. So engineering professor. So that is something as a character, yeah, that we want. Then atmosphere. So where exactly describe the mood, tone, and emotion you want to the image to evoke. What exactly, where is, what kind of mood he is in. He's energetic, curious, futuristic, collaborative. Then narrative. So what's happening? What is the story that you want to capture? So is students experimenting with small robots in a smart classroom. And this teacher is explaining AI to students. So visual style, how do you want that particular style to be? Choose artistic form or medium to represent your idea. It can be digital, semi-realistic cinematic style. It can be realistic style uh, based on real atmosphere. It can, you can just say that it can be a cartoon character. Something like Ghibli style was something that was famous quite a while ago. Somebody coming from a particular state can have a particular art form related image created. Something like Madhubani painting style. So that can be a visual style that you can use. Cinematic style, something like George Lucas cinematic style, Marvel cinema uh, style. So those are the Disney art style. So there are a lot of aspects that you can use being creative at your end. So then the angle. So whenever you are taking a picture, there are certain angles, like you are taking a close up, you are taking a zoom or a wide angle lens angle, you are taking it from an aerial view, you might be using a drone for a cinematic aerial view. So you can just share the narrative. Narrative is students experimenting with small robots. Style is digital art in semi-realistic cinematic style with soft lighting. Angle, eye level, short, focusing both teacher and students in focus. Then setting, define the location or environment to ground your image. That is modern Indian engineering college. So here, till the setting is not mentioned, what it will do, it can refer to any part of the world. It can show a United States based person or a Africa based person. It will just randomly select one and share. Yeah, so, Shashwati ji, tell me. Can we get the PPT version of any slides data in Notebook LM? It was not PPT, it was either audio or a video. Yes, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. But I can go through the chat. What you are mentioned is the PPT version of any slide data in Notebook. It was not PPT, it was a video version. So the video, yes, you can download, of course. Same with the podcast or the audio review as well. You can also download the particular mind maps also. Hope that answers. Yeah. So when you define that the setting is modern engineering college classroom, morning light, it's the morning time that the image is supposed to be taken. So then you can also add ratios. Aspect ratio 2 is to 1, 16 is to 9, 16 is to 9 is a new form. The most of the laptops are in this particular aspect ratio. You can have this sort of settings mentioned, saying what is the character that you want, what is the atmosphere you want, what is the narrative that you want to set, what is the visual style, what is the angle, and what is the setting, based on which this is the prompt that we created. I'll just copy this prompt. Now, where to use? What exactly is the platform you would like to use to generate your images? Good thing is that I'll focus on one free one, that is ChatGPT. Now ChatGPT easily can create especially the free version, it can create wonderful images for you. And perplexity limited, yes. Google Gemini is something, it is very easy. So I'll use the same prompt. Google Gemini, what you need to do, Shwashwati ji is asking something again. And difference between flashcards and mind maps. Mind map, proper how mind maps work, it will share top 5 things mentioned in the book or top 10 things, whatever it is, based on the content. And within one set, what are the subsets? How a mind map works, it will show all the mind maps. It would be ready by now. Example, it will take a while. Meanwhile, I'll come back here, and the prompt that we have generated as an example, I'll share it here. And while you use Gemini, you just can go to Gemini whenever you are using, you're accessing your Gmail on Chrome, you're all automatically logged in to your laptop or PC. You can just go to gemini.google.com or just Google Gemini AI. It will take you to this particular window. Here you can just say create an image and then paste a particular prompt or type a particular prompt. Again, how I mentioned is that you can always ask ChatGPT or Gemini itself to just create a prompt for me, ask one question at a time. It will go on and you can just share all these things, and it will create a detailed prompt for you as well. So that is always an option, whether it is for text, video, audio, whatever it is. So what I'll do is that I'll just first share the instruction with ChatGPT, then come to Gemini and share it. But Gemini is pretty fast, good with what it does, and it takes shorter time. However, here it is easy to understand what is going on in the background. It starts with a blur background and keeps on generating something. Here, see, it is so fast that it already has done. So here, see, we hadn't shared the gender of the professor. Good thing. They have come up directly with the image. So this is something, but it doesn't look as Indian as I wanted it to be. I believe I can say this does not look like an Indian college rework. So now the looping, that is feedback. I'm giving it feedback. Meanwhile, let's look at how ChatGPT is doing. And this is why I don't like ChatGPT, although it is free, it takes a lot of time. But the good thing is that you can see that that general adversarial network, it is doing its work. There is somebody generating something. You can see lines and everything forming here, and somebody going up, okay, this is image, this is not the image. And once it has finalized on what the structure would be, then it is creating that structure bit by bit by bit. It is coming on the screen. Here, the second version would be ready. Create another version. Keep it as MANIT Bhopal College interface and rework on the image. Let me be specific which particular college to use. It is my college. Anybody from NIT Bhopal, always welcome. Please do say separately hi when this is over. But see, ChatGPT has done a better job when it comes to relating to the context. So somewhere, see, Gemini, it's failing now as of now, but it hardly does this. Yeah, but it does do this meanwhile. Another tool that is part of the curriculum, I should mention it that way, but it is a premium one, that is Midjourney. Midjourney, I think, is the best tool when it comes to creating these kind of pictures, but it is not free, it is paid. So being a paid version, there is limited, like if you really want to use this to create something for your college, and some student can uh, earn something, or instead of hiring a designer, you want somebody to just subscribe to one particular, you have funds, say 1,000 2,000 rupees, and you need to create 20 30 images, don't want to hire a graphic designer, just go for this tool. This is always better. Kind of detailing that will come, it's amazing. The good thing about Journey, why I like you to refer to this, is that you can always go to a video or a picture, and it will show what is the particular prompt that has been used to come up with this particular video or visual. So that is always image generation prompts. You can just Google. There are a lot of prompts. You can just say nano banana prompts, being specific. So there are a lot of options and opportunity, this prompts that you will see here. This is the prompt with which it has been created. What you can also do is that you can again paste this particular prompt and edit certain aspects of which, say visual style. And character I'm keeping the same. In a bright futuristic classroom with collaborative energy, students are experimenting with real India visual style, eye level. Better. So here, instead of adding it to rework on that particular prompt, I gave it an entirely new prompt, and it has come up with a. So it somewhere is showing me the hills of Bhopal. So that is the, so it is Bhopal. You can see a lot of such hills plus building sort of scenario. So that may be a cue here. So meanwhile, I'll just go. So there are a lot of prompting options. You can search. You will see a lot of images and the prompts for it coming up here, based on which you can see. This is, so those who wanted to know mind map. So this is the type of mind map it has created. So there are two parts of that particular book that I have uploaded. One is road science and one is road safety information within that particular book. So it has categorized into two. Then it is saying what are the subsets of this particular book. Mandatory is road science. So what is within mandatory road science? Stop, give way, no entry, etc. Restriction ends. So part B, what is part B saying? Part B is saying information to get driving license, common causes of road accidents. Oh, what is the common causes of road accidents? Okay. Driver error, behavioral issues, negligence, avoiding consequences, avoiding safety and fatalities. So these are the aspects. So it is showing, making the entire, you can just open everything and just take out a download here. You download it, and it is available for you in a PNG format that you can use. See. So I opened three subsets, two subsets, and three subsets within those sets. So it has made a mind map and it is available for me. So that's what mind map is, and then flashcard here. So these are the flashcards, something that you can carry in your hand. So these are the aspects that it has created. So hope those notebook LM related queries has been answered. So yeah, anything, it's time, I believe. So Kamna?
Yeah, you can take one last question if there's anything. There's just one or 2 minutes more for you. If there's any question you can take.
Yeah, any other question? So meanwhile, I'll share some websites. So FreePick is something that you can use. So this is one, if somebody really wants to look at more image generation options. So FreePick is something that gives you more options and very low prices when it comes to particular kind of models to be used. Well, why it is very good is that you can use this very different kind of models and generate images. So you can use Gemini itself. You can use certain Midjourney algorithms as well. Everything is available and very reasonably priced as well. So that is something that you can use. There is another thing if you want to use. So T3 chat, it's not. So T3 chat is something in which for $8 you can use mostly all kind of websites, image generation websites, whether it is Claude, whether it is ChatGPT itself, all kind of models you can use. If you subscribe to this particular, it's hardly $8 or something. So these are two websites that will help you as well. Yeah. Over to you, Kamna. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Srijit. You've explained a lot beyond the content also of the course. So thank you so much for that. The faculty needs to go through the course because let me repeat once again that the assessment is on Future Skills Prime and attendance is tagged through Zoom. So you need to attend the lectures on Zoom, complete the course on Future Skills Prime. You already would have, all of you have got welcome emails from Future Skills Prime. So please complete the course and then take the assessment on Future Skills Prime. We will be sharing a promo code with all of you, which you can use. There is no need to pay 600 rupees, which is the cost of the assessment. You don't need to pay that. You will receive an promo code in your email. You can use that to take the test. So just those are some housekeeping. Jaideep ji is asking how to join the course. You would have got an email from Future Skills Prime. So just give all your information. That is your onboarding. So you give your address, you give your Aadhaar card number and everything. So your account will be created and then you can see your group, which is AICT Atal Online FTP participants. And just go to the group. The course is assigned to you. You can complete the course on generative AI fluency. And I'm very happy to see Akbar Muhammad, our next trainer, on the call. Welcome, Akbar. So nice to have you with us. Uh, the session today is GenAI in pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and mental health. And Akbar has consented to take the session, so thank you so much. He is an enterprise AI architect and a technical leader with Fractal. He believes in living at the intersection of AI and the real world impact, basically translating complex innovations into practical solutions that work. He has architected AI platforms across verticals like healthcare, retail, and telecom. He has an expertise in Gen AI systems, MLOps, LLMOps, and enterprise AI platforms. He is passionate about making technical concepts accessible and actionable. And he has to his credit many patents for responsible AI systems and machines. So without taking any more time, over to you, Akbar, for your session.
Thanks, Kamala. Thanks for that introduction. Hello, folks. Thanks for joining this session. I'm quite excited to share what we are doing in AI in the real world, especially with enterprises and large companies. Can you folks hear me okay? Okay.
We can hear you. And please type your answers in yes or no in the chat box. And if there's any questions, you can put it in the question box.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to get this in slide mode. Okay. All right. For today's session, essentially what I want to do is basically take you through the journey of how healthcare as a sector has evolved. I'm going to give you a glimpse of how the technology started being leveraged in healthcare, and then how it is being used today, maybe with a focus on Gen AI. And today it's being used in different areas, from everything from strategy to operations. There are different scenarios in which healthcare companies, pharma companies are using it. For that, I have basically set up a small session. This is what I'll go through. We'll talk about the data ecosystem first, and then maybe touch upon a few areas where it is creating the most impact. Before I go into the details, right, I want you to think about, or at least get a glimpse of the data space. Okay, in healthcare, there's a lot of unstructured data. Okay, what I mean by unstructured data is everything from images, speech, written notes, anything that can't fit in a spreadsheet is basically unstructured data, right? There's a lot of it in healthcare, right? We are interacting with people, with organic entities. There are doctors, there are different entities that are being engaged when working with healthcare systems, right? Think about a moment where you walked into a hospital or even your doctor, right? Imagine the number of interactions you're having, right? Even if it's a simple interaction where you're just going for a regular checkup, you're talking to the receptionist, maybe filling up a form, then you're probably entering some details, then maybe you enter the doctor's office, there's a conversation there, that's being logged in a advanced system that's being logged. And then once you're out of the doctor's office, maybe you're going through a bunch of checkups. Maybe there's a blood test, maybe there's a scan or a MRI. All of this is data. And this data in the past had been leveraged only by specialists. But where we are today is it's becoming more and more accessible. I think in the early 2000s, when data became more widespread, the data was still small. You still were working with structured data, but over time we started to collect more and more information in the healthcare ecosystem. More of these things started becoming digitized, and now we have a lot of unstructured data that is available, if not for AI, at least for analysis, right? So this is being available. So here's a glimpse of how the ecosystem of healthcare is, and the number of touch points you have. So if you're a patient, you're talking to doctors and nurses, pharmacies and medications, labs, imaging. All of these entities, all of these buckets are basically collecting, or at least have some kind of data about a single patient, right? Imagine millions of patients going through the healthcare ecosystem, leaving a trace of their data, and even across their lifetime, we all go through different stages. And at each stage, we have these different interactions, and all of that is being logged, at least digitally. And that ecosystem has created a huge surplus of unstructured data, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it gives people like me an opportunity to analyze it, create new solutions on top of it, right? And the reality today is healthcare data is growing. It's always been growing, and it's been growing about 36%. At least this is the statistics from 2024. And a bulk of it, about 80% of this data, tends to be unstructured, right? And a lot of it also gets unused because it is unstructured, it is difficult to process, it is difficult to share. One thing that you should know is, if you go to a ABC hospital and then you go to an XYZ hospital, the data that the ABC hospital has cannot be easily shared with the XYZ hospital, right? So some of these challenges continue to exist, but those things are worked upon as we are evolving in a digital world, right? It still remains unused. But even with that 20% data that we are collecting, there's a lot of opportunity to apply AI on top of it, okay? Now, the biggest area where we see opportunity in healthcare is in reducing cost. Today, globally, healthcare cost is around $4.3 trillion, and it's going to grow because of advances, inflation, the size of the population, the burdens of there are many economic elements that are pushing costs high. It's not just isolated to the Western world. It's the costs of managing healthcare is increasing across the globe. And AI today is trying to, if not reduce, at least stabilize some of those costs. Some of the challenges that AI is tackling is things like doctors, facing burnout. how do I reduce the cognitive load of doctors? Doctors not only like interact with patients, but they also have to do a lot of administrative tasks. I'll talk about some of those small solutions that AI is helping with, so that doctors can do more of the diagnostics and the actual clinical and medical work rather than doing administrative work. AI is also like working towards solving or reducing medical errors, and also reduce some of the systemic inefficiencies. These are some places where AI, the opportunities for applying AI exist, and a lot of it is powered by the availability of unstructured data that is now more available and accessible to a lot of companies across the globe. So here's the kind of a summary of the kind of data that we have. There are about 2.5 quintillion bytes of healthcare data created daily. Right? Imagine everybody going through the system and data being logged. So globally, there's this much data being created, and it's growing. It's growing by 36%, and of which today mostly usable data from a single entity perspective is only 20%. So other 80% is not used. And there's a lot of economic opportunity. If we can leverage this data, we can not only improve operations, like how healthcare system works, but also look for new knowledge. There might be signs and symbols, patterns in some of these healthcare diagnostics. All of that can be captured, and there's a lot of economic opportunity there. There are estimates saying that about 1 trillion improvements can be had if we can leverage this 80% unused data, right? India is also unique. India has the most populous, one of the most populous countries, and we're also generating a lot of data. And I don't know if folks have heard, we are also going through a digitization phase where a lot of our data will get digitized. We'll have a single health card similar to our Aadhaar, where we can trace patient records. That's going to give a unique opportunity for India, right, where we can analyze the data, maybe build solutions on top of it, and we can also create AI on top of that. Okay. So if I look at just US loan rate, there are estimates saying we can potentially save about 200 billion, not create, but save $200 billion annually in just the US medical sector. So imagine what AI or any analytics can do at a global scale, right? So that's the potential. So we have a lot of data available, and any AI conversation, any analytics conversation starts with data, and healthcare has a lot of it. That's the unique thing about healthcare. I have worked across sectors, including finance, retail, telecom. Healthcare is the most complex. It's the most data rich and the most underutilized sector. So if you imagine, maybe I'll give you a comparison, right? In finance, you have credit debit. You're just making transactions. You're just looking at how money is flowing, right? But in healthcare, you're looking at multiple parameters. You're looking at diagnostic data. You're looking at clinical data. Clinical data is in your blood tests, your MRI scans. You're looking at genetics. You're looking at financial data. You're also looking at products. Like when I say products, I mean it's not just pharmaceutical products. It's also financial products. You're looking at equipment. So there's a lot of diverse set of data within healthcare, and each of this can be analyzed separately on its own. If you combine them, there's a lot of unique things that you find, and that's what's been happening in the industry. To give you a sense, right, in the past decade alone, most healthcare companies started to look at raw data, raw structured data, to think about improving administrative costs. Something as simple as emergency or ER visits. I'm going to use the US as an example. ER visits are extremely expensive, not just for the insurance companies, but also for the medical facilities. You need to have trained staff. You need to have equipment. You need to be available 24/7. There are a lot of elements that you need to have so that you can operate a ER service. Something as simple as being able to detect if a particular, let's say, service can be redirected to non-critical zones, and identifying those is a gold mine for healthcare facilities. We started doing some simple analytics in 2008, 2010, but as the technology or the techniques of AI and machine learning improved, around 2014, a lot of companies started to exploit these predictive analytics capabilities. So we're not just analyzing the what, but we're also trying to predict the future or predict what could potentially happen, right? At that point, and this is also a point where some of the early AI capabilities started to emerge. There we started to apply analytics techniques or predictive analytics techniques to the data sets that we have in healthcare. So we started to predict, if a patient is at risk of diabetes or is at risk of a particular clinical condition. So some of these predictive solutions started to be developed within different healthcare entities. And that alone led us to assess risk much better. And when you can assess risk in healthcare, it kind of impacts many things, not just the patient, but also insurance costs, administrative costs. So if I, as an insurance company, can predict that a person is at risk or not at a risk, I can offer them a better insurance price from an insurance standpoint. If a medical facility knows that this person is less at risk of a particular condition, they can focus their diagnostic attention on what actually matters. So this data and this predictive analytics became more and more powerful somewhere around 2014. It became more accessible around then. And then if we jump to about 2018, 2019, predictive analytics or machine learning became more and more used in the healthcare industry. And there were early uses of AI. AI used to be used for things like analyzing X-rays or MRIs. At that point, we were just analyzing, where we were just trying to detect what is in that image instead of a doctor, right? So there were ML models that were good enough at that point. But now, with GenAI in the picture, there's a lot more that we could do. We could combine knowledge. We can use some of these advanced techniques to solve very complex problems that would have been impossible to think 10 years ago. So we could do all that today. What I'll do next is maybe talk about some of that. And I'll begin with the patient, right? What are we doing in AI that is helping the patient using using GenAI specifically? A key thing that you have to know is traditional AI needs a lot of clean data, okay? Whereas AI or GenAI can work with very messy data. And generally, most healthcare data tends to be very messy. Think of something as simple as doctor notes, right? Doctors tend to have different kinds of handwritten notes, even nurses. How do you capture that and interpret it? Even I think many humans can't do it very well, right? So there are AI that is trained specifically on medical and clinical notes that can understand a range of handwritten notes. That's the power of AI. It can work with any kind of messy data. And I'm talking about handwritten notes. It could be anything. It could be images. It could be audio. It could be even some of those ultrasonic data captures, which is not easy to interpret if you put that in your computer, but an AI can interpret that pretty easily. So these are some of the capabilities that AI is unlocking for us. I'll give you a few examples, and I'll start with medical imaging. Medical imaging is the first space where we started to exploit AI specifically. Our key area is radiology. In radiology, we spend a lot of time analyzing scans, right? And analyzing scans requires that the radiologist is trained extensively and they have a lot of experience in identifying issues very quickly, right? What has happened in the past decade is we have companies, we have solutions in place where we started to train AI. We've taken radiology or X-ray scans, MRI scans, where we know what the diagnosis is, and we started to train AI models to replicate what a radiologist would do. Okay, that's happened, and there are many implementations of it. Like NVIDIA has RAD-ImageGAN that creates these synthetic images after getting trained on these X-ray scans. There's also King's College London that's created synthetic brain images, and it's all done by an AI called generative adversarial networks. It learns from previous training data, and it can create realistic medical images with a lot of authentic features. And that is very hard to replicate, even for humans, right? So that is possible today. So in medical imaging, we are able to synthetically create medical images using some of these AI models. Now, these synthetic images do a couple of things. One, it codifies some of the patterns that you see in normal images and abnormal images. When I say abnormal, I mean scans that have particular conditions. And in these abnormal images, if you give, let's say, a photograph of an X-ray, and you ask this AI, do you see a problem or not? It can detect issues at a pixel level, and which is very hard for a human eye to detect, but they can detect issues much before and much more consistently than any human could. There have been studies done where they took an AI and they put a panel of actual radiologists to see who is better. I think somewhere in 2015, 2016, the humans are still better, but since 2018, 2019, the AI is consistently superior. It's able to beat up many panels of radiologists and find issues more accurately and more consistently. It doesn't miss as much as humans do. So that's something that's become unlocked because of GenAI today in medical imaging. Okay, that's the first area where things are being unlocked. The second one is around personalization. Today, most medicine, most diagnosis is done at what I would call as averages, right? So if a doctor is prescribing you something, he or she knows that it generally works for the population, right? So for most people, this particular drug works, right? That's generally how diagnosis or treatment is prescribed today. Now with AI, we are able to identify traits and physiological, biological markers and create treatments that work for a single person. Basically, instead of doing one size fits all, we are looking at one individual and seeing what can work, what medicine or what treatment approach can work for this particular person, right? It's not generally available to the public yet. There are still studies going on. There are some early experiments. I think since COVID, Mayo Clinic has been working with genomic data, and that has recruited about 100,000 or more patients for creating personalized treatment plans for them. And these personalized treatment plans usually are done for people with extreme conditions, right? They have a lot of allergies, or their physiology is very weak. they are at an advanced stage of a particular disease. So the way you treat them tends to be very different. So what's the best treatment for that one person given their lifestyle and their diagnostic, right? How do you figure that out? Today we are using AI to make that description. And it's not just drugs, it's also maybe physiotherapy, it could be um, uh, some sort of a treatment plan that works either to reduce the symptoms that they have or help them improve um, as they progress in those treatments. Today, there are many solutions like this. There are also approaches that companies have created. For example, Google Cloud or DeepMind has created this drug discovery solution using AI. So we have enough data that it's called pharmacology. Pharmacology is the one that decides whether a particular molecule is safe for human consumption or not. There are a bunch of what would I call it? Checklists, like or a set of tests that you would go through, or to ensure that a particular molecule is safe for humans or not. That's a basic test. And then there's also a way to actually do this experiment live, right? Like you go through human trials. Before all that, there's a lot of research. There are decades-long research to find a drug that actually can work or solve a particular a problem in the human body. So instead of spending decades, we have AI today that's actively exploring different molecules to find a particular drug that can work, that can go for trials immediately. I think Google DeepMind have done that. There are many companies now. There's also a drug that is fully created by AI. It'll likely come next year. It's already going through human trials. So this is already happening, drug discovery using AI. So this personalized medicine, figuring out AI-based drugs, these are things that AI is unlocking. And all of that is possible because we now have a lot of data to analyze. It is digitized, and we have a lot more sophisticated AI techniques. Everything from traditional machine learning to advanced deep learning models and GenAI specifically. That's allowing us to do personalized medicine. I'll pause here and see if there are any questions. Okay. I don't see any questions. All right, I'll move on then. Okay. Another interesting thing, I think when I started this conversation, I talked about when you enter a doctor's office, you are having a conversation, right, with the doctor, and the doctor is listening into your pain points. He's trying to figure out what the issues are. This interaction may look simple at that moment, but it's actually a very complex conversation. The doctor is trying to first identify how what you're saying maps to his medical knowledge understanding, right? And for that, he needs to know all the medical terminologies, right? And the second thing is he also needs to be smart enough to capture some of the finer points. You may say something very tiny. Maybe you're saying that your left hand is hurting, but there might be a bunch of things that he has to check before he can actually diagnose you, right? All of these things a practitioner or a medical practitioner has to learn through training. Today we have AI that can understand that interaction. Something as simple as understanding that interaction is extremely complex for any machine learning model. And today it is possible. Today you can translate your voice to text, and that text can be extremely complex. And it could include things like medical terminologies. It could include different languages. In an India setting, we don't necessarily talk in English all the time. We may combine different languages to talk. So being able to understand that, okay, a person is moving from English to a different language, and that language, and within that conversation, there are some medical terms being used, there are some diagnostic elements being discussed. All of these things, AI has to be able to understand, detect, and then capture it. That simple action of capturing, right? Listening to the conversation, documenting it, and identifying different segments of that conversation is something that we are now seeing. It's becoming more common in very large hospitals now, where you have like a Alexa-like device that listens to that doctor-patient conversations. And that simple action can reduce a lot of administrative burden for doctors. In the past, a doctor would listen to your conversation, write notes, and he might give you those notes in a slip to the patient, and then he has to separately go out and log it in another hospital system, or maybe even a regulatory in a system that is required by regulation to be filled. So there are many other things that a doctor does. So all of that additional administrative work is now reduced because of these clinical documentation systems that we are now creating. So that's what's happening. So there are AI systems that can automate the workflow. There are actually proprietary systems like nuanced DAX is something that Microsoft is making available. Any software company or any hardware company can subscribe to this and provide solutions to care providers or even healthcare providers. And there are also other solutions, very similar solutions done by different companies. And there are measurable impacts to this, right? It saves about 2+ hours per physician daily. So imagine the number of doctors, and they are able to save 2 hours. They can spend those 2 hours with patients instead of spending time doing administrative tasks. It reduces those documentation errors. It streamlines a lot of the documentation, and it makes things more consistent, and it allows the doctor to focus on the patient instead of paperwork. And all of this is possible because of what GenAI can do today. Okay. No, I don't want. I think I talked about this. Now, moving from a clinical setting to from a doctor or a patient doctor situation to a slightly different area, which is insurance. Healthcare insurance is also a key zone within the healthcare ecosystem. They allow us to get more access to healthcare. And one of the things that they struggle with is claims processing. Okay. And I'm going to anchor this conversation around the US. It takes about 10 days on average for any prior authorization. What I mean by prior authorization is when you subscribe to a product, an insurance product, there are certain categories which you can just walk into a hospital, and if they diagnose you or there's a treatment that is listed as prior authorized, that means you can claim that without a lot of documentation. So that is what is prior authorization, and it generally takes about 10 days on average for something to be processed for when things are in a prior authorization bucket. What we are seeing now is instead of humans reviewing this, and this 10 days average is because that claim goes through a series of steps where a person, like an admin person, reviews it, whether that form is filled correctly or not. And then it goes through a clinical expert, and that clinical experts will review it, whether this diagnosis makes sense or not. And then again, it goes to another admin person. So it goes through a chain of processes by humans. And it's not a lot of complicated work, but it kind of waits for a person to review it. Okay. Instead of a human reviewing it, today we have AI doing the same action in a sequence, right? And instead of that manual reviews, we have AI analyzing those claims, and it can assess everything that the clinical facility has provided and immediately authorize you. Instead of like it taking 10 days, it can happen within the same day. And you just take a picture of what the hospital or the clinician has provided you, send it for claims processing, and the AI analyzes those documents. And if there's an issue, it'll probably even ask you, hey, I think XYZ is missing. Can you give me those details? And it'll process it within the same day. Instead of you having to wait for a person to review it, you have these systems now, mostly powered by AI, that can do this immediately. Now think about this, right? 10 days doesn't seem like a lot, but if you scale it up to millions of people, you're looking at months, if not years, worth of delays for processing claims. And this is a simple operational benefit, but for healthcare companies and even for providers or care providers, this is a huge benefit. Like if you can get the money instantly, if it gets processed instantly, it reduces a lot of administrative burdens. This is not fully available in every country, but there are more insurance companies that are experimenting with this approach. While this reduces a lot of administrative burden, I'll talk about some of the risks also. Right? It also opens up more opportunities for fraud. I'll talk about those in the later section. But this is possible today, and it is possible because of GenAI, processing something as simple as claims, doing it on the same day. That's a second zone where GenAI is benefiting. All right, I will move on to the next one. The last one is around fraud detection. Fraud detection and fraud in healthcare can be very complex. And it can happen in any pocket. It could come from the doctor side. It could come from the pharmacy side. It could come from care provider side. There are many. Historically, healthcare has been a place where it has been exploited a lot for fraud. Very similar to finance, healthcare is very prone to fraud, and the cost to companies runs in billions of dollars every year, and this is just US alone. Something like suspicious billing patterns. There might be providers. When I say providers, it's hospitals and doctors who might give you something cheap but bill for something expensive, or they could write a higher dosage but really give you a smaller dosage in reality. All of these are practices or issues that we know of, and it's very common. It happens a lot. In the past, it used to be reviewed by humans, and then in the 2010s, 2014s, we started using AI or predictive analytics to start detecting these. There are actually companies just dedicated to finding fraud in healthcare and specialized fraud. It's not just broad fraud, but something very specific. If I'm looking at billing, there might be a solution just for billing fraud. If I'm looking at drug prescription frauds, there might be a solution just for that. So we used to have many solutions earlier. It still continues to exist. There are billion-dollar companies just on these AI or machine learning based solutions for detecting fraud. But those machines are limited to only structured data. Only if the data has been digitized, only then can you use that system to detect any fraud. Today, what's happening is again, like I said, we have a lot of unstructured data. Now that data is more accessible and it's getting digitized. We have AI that can also understand this unstructured data. We are now able to create more robust, more sophisticated AI models that can detect fraud. So think of medical, like it can review multiple documents or multiple entities to find even the more complex fraud that people can do in real life. Generally, people don't do one kind of fraud; they might do a sequence of frauds, and detecting that is very complex because you have to uphold that in the legal space, right? So how do you find that? How do you detect it? How do you consistently detect it and present the case? Is something traditionally was done by humans or human experts. Now we have a combination of human and AI just looking for this actively and then finds out if there is anomalous behavior and then flags it for human review and compliance. Yeah, so these are some of the places where AI is being used specifically from a patient care perspective. Now, I want to go a little further. I want to talk about population health. So far, we've been looking at a patient, like one individual or one clinical zone. Healthcare is not just focused on one-to-one interactions with humans, or there are also population level intelligence that most countries, most policymakers tend to analyze. Something as simple as how many beds, how many hospital beds does this city need based on the population it has, based on the demographic, geographic location of this population, what kind of medical facilities it needs, how many doctors will it need. These are analysis that happen at the population level. And there are lots of complex analytics that have been happening in the past using statistical analysis. Now that same analysis is becoming more sophisticated because of GenAI. AI is now able to simulate various intervention scenarios and even impact before deployment, right? Think about the time when COVID happened, trying to figure out which zones will need attention before they become hot zones is something that was not easy earlier, but because of more advances in the population health analytics techniques, we are now able to figure those out much more accurately, much more consistently. I don't know if many of you know, I think there are different states which had war rooms in India. And in those war rooms, we had these huge dashboards where we were actually looking at hot zones. And those hot zones is a mix of what is actually happening live on the ground and predictive analytics, which is driven through AI. That was possible because now we have data flowing in live, and we also have techniques that can quickly identify or simulate potential problems before they actually become real. So that was happening already during COVID. Now it's only become more sophisticated because of GenAI. And I want to talk to you about some of those. The first one is on synthetic medical data. I touched upon this earlier, basically being able to create synthetic copies of that can pass off as actual medical data. What used to happen in the past is, and medical data is a very sensitive topic. Almost every country will not allow an individual's medical data to be shared. It's by law. Even India has laws to protect your healthcare data records. So while this is good for the individual, it also limits the amount of research and analytics you can do. So for example, if there's a small subset of people that have a rare disease, it is difficult to share learnings because you can't share that individual's data unless they give you permission. That was a challenge earlier. Now what's happening is we are able to train AI models with these medical imaging data or any medical data. It could be images, it could be audio, it could be anything. And then we can replicate that. We can create synthetic copies. Maybe a real example, I don't know if you folks have gone through this. A real example is this person does not exist. Okay. It's a simple fun exercise. Today AI is so sophisticated. You can pretty much create any person's image and it could look extremely real, right? This is actually a synthetically generated image. This person basically it just says that this person doesn't exist. But the AI is able to generate the features, create the image almost realistically, and you can do this as many times as you like. And you can choose any race, any age, whatever you like. You can do this extremely well today, right? Let me see if I can choose somebody older, maybe our country. So you can also specify different parameters and you can get that image generated. Okay, this didn't really do a good job, but imagine the same approach, but in the medical world, right? Instead of sharing actual medical records of a real person, you can create images of like the anatomy or simulate what could potentially happen at the population level by using this synthetic sample. You can create millions of records using these synthetic samples and come up with an analysis that can say, okay, based on my simulation, I think these are the risks that our population is managing, and these are the prescriptions that we should have from a policy standpoint. So that is possible today because AI is able to generate these synthetic medical data. We can do a lot of research on top of it. We can share these data because it is synthetic. You can share it across anywhere, right? It's not a real person's data. It's the key thing here is GANs, these generative adversarial networks. These are the things that create realistic patient trajectories. And you can create almost unlimited data sets. If you have the compute and the data resources, you can create as many data as you like, and then use that data to create solutions on top of it. There's been research in the GenAI world. There's been a lot of talk about, hey, if you create a lot of synthetic data and you train models on top of it, wouldn't that reduce the signal that models are getting? In fact, the reverse is true, at least from a language model perspective. You can create a lot of synthetic data and you can train more models on top of it, but the signal that it learns tends to be consistent. The only thing is there are only specific techniques that are very good at this. As long as we have those benchmarks in place, it's okay to create solutions on top of synthetic medical records. That's one lesson that it's part of the recent 6 months where a couple of Anthropic essentially came up with this research, and OpenAI also confirms this, that a lot of synthetic data doesn't necessarily reduce the model quality or the simulation quality that you generate out of these generated data. So this is possible today, creating synthetic medical records, using them for creating more analysis, more insights, or even create policy based on those insights. The next one, I'm going to shift gear a little here and talk about predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is not new. It's been there for a long time. The only difference now is that it's become a lot more sophisticated. Okay. Earlier, like in traditional settings, you'll be very reactive. You will see the data and then you realize that, okay, there is a problem, and then you react to it. And then later what happened, and I'm talking about 2000s or even the 90s to some extent, we started to leverage data. We used to capture samples, right? If folks remember the HIV epidemic that started in the 80s, and that at that time we were very reactive. We learned about the disease, and then we created programs to start collecting data, and then proactively analyze how that disease was progressing, right? So that's the zone that we were in earlier. And then later on, so this is the late 2000s and early 2010s, we started to be more predictive. We started to identify population segments at risk before those problems emerge. Like I was talking about chronic conditions, right? When I say chronic conditions, these are your diabetes, hypertension, which most people, especially Indians, go through in their lifetime, right? We started to identify people at risk, and then creating intervention programs for those individuals before it becomes a huge problem, not just for the individual, but also at the population level. So that started happening. And the next one was prevention. Okay, this is at the population level. So if we can simulate that a particular population, a city, a region is prone to certain diseases, right? For a various number of factors. It could be cultural, it could be demographic, or it could just be that that particular area has a particular kind of mortality rate. So how do you create intervention programs based on simulations and preventing more issues? That started to happen after this risk identification started becoming more prevalent. And then finally, there's predictive. Right? Predictive is what we are doing today. Today, we are using AI to create early warning systems where we are not only simulating different outcomes, but we are also trying to predict, okay, what will happen in the next 2-3 months? Am I at risk of another COVID? Is my systems prepared for a huge shock? Or what are the things that I can do to prevent them? Is all done by using predictive analytics. And today, instead of using those traditional machine learning models or predictive models, we are using AI primarily. It does a combination of things. It does simulation and it also does prediction. Both of those two combined, we are able to create insights for different population segments and even the healthcare ecosystem in general. Something as simple as how much quantity of drug should I keep in stock for this region? That alone is a very complex problem to solve for healthcare. But with this predictive capability, we can estimate, okay, this population, there's this much risk, and for that risk, here's the stockpiles that we need to keep. So those decision making become a lot more simpler, easier because of this predictive capability. Now, with that predictive capability, and these are some real numbers based on some of the things I've seen in the practice, right? Predicting or trying to predict preventive ER visits, that alone has reduced, that model alone has helped reduce 25% reduction in ER visits. What I mean by this, maybe I'll give you a real example, right? When you are a parent to a young child, and naturally, if your child is going through a tough time, and in the middle of the night, and when you're in the western part of the world, the only access to medical care is a ER facility. Okay, whether it's a small cough or a small issue or a big issue, regardless of that, most parents would go and do a ER visit so that the child can get some care. Right? This was something that we had known in the practice, but there was not enough data or any kind of analytics around it. Just what kind of ER visits are unnecessary? I mean, I say this unnecessary because this is something that another facility could have provided care for, right? Being able to predict that, analyze that situation, we were able to redirect some of these cases to smaller emergency service units. They're not exactly emergency service units, but 24/7 pharmacy centers where we know there's a huge density of people with young kids who may likely visit an ER for non-critical needs. So that was possible because we were able to identify the issue, one, and then second, we were also able to predict how much of the ER visit can be reduced. And this is important because what happens is and I'm going to use the US again here, an ER visit cannot be denied. If you walk into a emergency services room, you cannot like move the patient away to some other facility. You have to give them care. And that's by law, that's by regulation. And if that ER service is fully occupied and there's a more critical, more serious case that walks in, and if they don't have capacity, then there is a more complex flow, and that critical person has to go to another ER service that delays care. So there are a chain of things that go wrong if you don't do this very well, or if you don't coordinate this very well. So doing something as simple as creating predictive models to reduce ER visits was a game changer for many facilities, and it's becoming more common. It's already implemented. This is a number from almost 10 years ago. I'm sure it has increased by now. And with these systems, right, you are able to see more than 2x return on investment. You can build a model once, and that can work for the next 6 months to a year very effectively. And think about that in every clinical situation, right? Predicting diabetes, predicting risk of diabetes, predicting risk of heart attack. I'll give you a very common problem that maybe is unique to the Western world: fall risk. In what happens in some of these old age homes is when you are in your later stages of life, right? It's very difficult for a person to reach for a phone and call for, help. And these individuals are also at high risk of falling. Once they fall, it's very difficult for them to get any kind of help. A simple model that can like predict who is at risk of falling was actually game changing, because once we know that, we are able to give them specialized wearable devices. So as soon as we can predict it, we are able to, like, this is done by insurance companies. They would send you a wearable device, you wear it, and if at any point there's a detect of a fall or even some sort of a medical emergency, that device will send an emergency call, and that person is able to get the right attention. So being able to do that just through predictive models was a game changer again. And we are seeing many of these simple solutions being created because we have those AI techniques available today. Okay, so this is another zone, predictive analytics. It's becoming more sophisticated for any kind of preventive care. All right, I'll pause here and see if there are any questions. Okay, I don't see much. Okay. Okay, I will move on. Okay. This is another interesting area for healthcare, which is running public healthcare campaigns. Traditionally, now, okay, I'll give you an example, right? Most of you must have seen the polio ads when you were kids or when you were younger. These are basically public healthcare campaigns, and you will still see posters of these being run. And the way they work is you first identify that this is a public emergency and it needs attention, and then you create a one-size-fits-all campaign. You broadcast that across the nation and get people access to that care, right? For that, you need a deep understanding of your health administration. You need to know what is happening, for example, in a big city, and you also need to know what is happening in a small city as well, or even a small district even. So you need to have that depth of understanding of your region before you can actually create a public health campaign. And if you look at the India setting, it's even more complex. You are looking at multiple languages, multiple cultures. There might be people who are afraid of modern medicine. There are lots of these dynamic elements that you're trying to tackle, right? What is happening now is, instead of creating a one size fits all, we are leveraging AI. Now, AI can look at all these nuances or different regions instead of a human having, or a bunch of experts coming together to think about a healthcare campaign. You can let an AI analyze the behavioral, the cultural, the demographic aspects and create these campaigns. So a small district in Tamil Nadu where we know a particular campaign needs to run, we'll get a specialized message. And if the same campaign needs to be run, let's say in Haryana, in some other small district, the campaign will look very different. The messaging will look very different. So all of that is possible today because we will not. It's become fast. It's become faster. It's become more reliable because we have these AI systems that can understand those nuances, and you can have like a public health administrator who can use AI to come up with these campaigns within the same day, instead of like having to wait for experts or calling up different zones and figuring out what can work there. You can create those campaigns very quickly, and it can be personalized, and it could use some of those cultural nuances, what can trigger the right behaviors using GenAI. This not only like makes things faster, but also saves a lot of administrative costs. Right? You are using less people. You don't have to mobilize that many resources to create the same campaigns as you would do before. Right? So this is possible today because of again GenAI. You are not only creating text messages, you're also creating images. You're creating language elements, behavioral elements that can trigger the right response. And then it can also adapt. It can also like take feedback. Okay, these campaigns are working, these campaigns are not working, and then adapt based on those feedbacks as well. So that's possible because of GenAI again. Okay. I am running ahead of time. Maybe I can spend like maybe 5 minutes to have a small discussion. If anybody has any questions or thoughts that you want to discuss with me, I'm happy to take those. You can type in if you have any questions in your chat, or if you have any thoughts that you want to share. Hopefully I'm audible. Okay, thanks, Sudha. How to refine synthetic images? That's an interesting question. There are two approaches, right? Either you give more samples, more real world samples to the same technique, or you use a combination of techniques and then combine them. So that's one approach, right? You can have one GAN model, and then you can also have a diffusion model, both trained on maybe the same set of, let's say if you have a limited set of original data, you can train them both separately and then eventually have another AI that can look at both these images, or another GAN that can look at both these generated images, and create a new synthetic sample. So you can use like a combination of AI models to come up with better synthetic images, or the more convenient answer is you get more good quality samples. The other way is there are some standard approaches that you could use. You can add noise to your real images. You can flip those images. You can do a bunch of basic alterations to the original image set to create more samples of that same data. And that can also help the AI learn those patterns better. We can discuss this, and I want to, where they are aligning. Okay, so that's okay. Validation of a generated image is a challenge. You may use some. So what we do in practice is we create what we call golden data sets. Golden data sets are like basically the best in class, like high quality images where we know this is how the standard model should look like. And then you ask the AI to generate multiple samples of it and then compare it with that golden data set. If it is close enough, and this is how most Gen AI models work, then we think of them as good models. Search for golden data sets for your specific imaging area. You might find them. You can also find more data sets online. If you're starting with 600 is not a bad number. You can probably add more samples to this and create more. The other approach is do something more simpler, right? Adding noise to the data, different kinds of noise. It could be white noise, it could be log normal noise. There are different techniques within the AI space that you can apply and then improve the accuracy of the model. Validating will always be a challenge. You will never get a 100% alignment with your synthetic or original samples. You may want to create like a golden data set and then see how the model is able to generate. So that's one approach. We can talk about this separately, Dr. Saswati. There are some known approaches. I can probably take an entire session on refining or improving model accuracy alone. But there are many. I think your problem is fairly common, and there are enough approaches out there that you can experiment with and see how you can improve your accuracy. Yeah, thanks for that question, though. I didn't realize we have people already building models. Okay. Genetic biomarker discovery. Can you explain more? Because I felt like we've already mapped the entire genome, right? Are you talking about specific combinations where you can detect problems? So what we know is the entire genome has been fully mapped. And I think what we are currently doing is exploring potential problem areas or simulating potential problem areas. Yeah, specific diseases, right? Okay. Yeah, we are trying to simulate those diseases, especially rare diseases. I think since 2014, we started to map these rare diseases more by using GenAI. So we're getting these new samples and seeing how that matches with the generated genome data and putting those markers. That's one thing that is happening. The second thing that is happening is we are also creating adversarial networks to find if a particular combination of genetic markers could lead to problems. So we are simulating those, but it's difficult, right? Unless you see an actual example, it's very hard to say that this is a problem. So we have cases, and I think there are enough universities that have already done this. Now it's about confirming whether what the AI has generated is actually a problem or not. DeepMind is doing this already. I think if you look at some of the DeepMind research papers, you will find some of that material around genetic biomarker discovery. They're also using that to like figure out what drugs or proteins can help solve those problems as well. So that's an exercise that DeepMind is doing. I'm pretty sure Stanford's medical imaging facility is also doing the same thing. Okay, good questions. Any more? Okay. If not, I'll move on. So far, I've basically said a lot of things, hey, GenAI is doing this. I mostly put a positive bias to it, but I'm going to give you a grounded reality of what is actually working and what is not working. And this is based on the past 5 years of actually seeing real world applications of GenAI specifically. Let me talk about that. Right? The first place where, this is the page where I talk about what is working. We know for sure that anytime you're using AI in a medical space, especially around documentation, there is significant time saving. And a lot of physicians also share that they are very satisfied with how those documentation systems are working. Earlier, they used to spend a lot of time just documenting. If you have a very complex case, you spend even more time. Instead of working with patients, you're just sitting in the corner, writing reports or clearing off some checklists. Now AI is doing that for you. So the first area is time saving for physicians because of AI documentation. The second one is diagnostic robots. If you have a very modern facility, you will see that most physicians will carry a tablet, and as soon as you enter the room, the tablet is actually powered by an AI. It will actually recommend a bunch of questions to you based on how the patient is responding, and you get to decide whether you listen to the AI's recommendation or you actively think about adapting to that situation. What this has led to is it's led to a reduction of emergency department visits. So anytime you go into a ER, the doctor is assessing the situation live. They're asking you if you're conscious. They're asking you questions. They are figuring out what is the best way to treat you and what's the right channel in which you can get the treatment, right? They don't have a lot of resources in that facility. It's a very small zone. You only have a few doctors. They have to quickly decide what's the best treatment for you. So with these medical diagnostic robots, essentially, they are able to make those decisions much more quickly. So that's led to about 3x return on investment that we know is working. And the third one, and I said it is emerging, but it's also, we are realizing that it is very effective, personalized treatments. We are able to look at individual patients and come up with personalized treatments for those individuals. And it's very effective. AI today is extremely effective. So far, most of the outcomes from Mayo Clinic is very positive. There are enough reports now. Scaling this is a challenge. How do you safely scale it is what Mayo is trying to figure out. That's why it's not commonly available, but it works. We know that this AI-based personalized treatment does work. Now, with just these three and the few that AI is impacting, we are already seeing $1 billion savings in the US. And if we apply this across the world, you can even have $1 trillion savings, right? The other thing is we are also seeing increased productivity because of just this time saving from documentation alone, right? I also talked about prior auth, right? And even in healthcare, we are seeing productivity gains where what would take you days, weeks is now taking the same way to process those claims, process those insurance elements, or even financial elements, right? So that's possible because of AI today. Now coming to what is not working. Now AI still has a hallucination problem, and this is within the healthcare context. And historically, healthcare has evolved depending on which school you went through. There might be small areas or small differences in what, let's say, a US medical association would prescribe versus a UK medical association or a India medical association. There might be small variations. And depending on how the model has been trained and what kind of population, there will be biases, and those biases keep cropping up. It's reduced significantly in the past 2-3 years, but those biases still exist. So we still see hallucination. If you put some markers, so for example, something as simple as gender can lead to problems in how the AI would recommend. So people using AI are actually trained, especially when we are providing these solutions. We train them on how to identify hallucination problems and bias in these training data. Okay. This is actively being worked upon, and I expect that this will reduce even more as things evolve. The third one is privacy and security risks. And this is not just an AI problem. I think this is also a problem of digitization. Now that your personal information, your healthcare information is digitized, it exposes you to a lot of privacy and security risks. If the hospitals and the providers are not careful on how the data is being stored and being used with the AI, this data can be leaked. This data can be exploited unfairly, or it could be sold to bad actors, and it can create a lot of problems within the healthcare ecosystem. This is a known risk, and I think a lot of the AI is not available to a large extent is because this risk is prevalent. We don't create AI for everybody. We just create it for small entities and then manage those risks actively. So that's one thing that is not working. Privacy and security risks still exist, and how to manage them is not fully solved for. The last one is, since healthcare is such a sensitive area and such an important area for people, the human in the loop imperative will remain for the foreseeable future. We don't see an AI fully replacing a doctor, for example. Only a doctor can advise a human, another person. You may have tools that can help the doctor or medical practitioner, but not fully replace them. There are also ethical and legal elements. So, for example, let me give you an example, right? Let's say a doctor is using some medical device and he gives you a diagnosis, and that diagnosis is purely based on what the AI is telling, and that diagnosis is wrong. What's the ethical and legal implication is not very clear. So, for example, can the patient legally sue the doctor, or do they sue the medical device provider, or do they sue the person who created the algorithm? So who's actually responsible is not very clear. So today, I think most countries, organizations are leaning towards putting the imperative on the human more than on any digital entity. Okay, so those are some of the problems. One other problem is, because of this privacy and security risk, is around fraud and what we are seeing in finance as well, right? I talked about prior auth becoming simpler. That same prior auth is also a risk for insurance companies, because now you can process it through an AI. You can even fool an AI. You can, synthetically create images and pass it to an AI, and it'll clear the claim. So this is happening. We learned this not in healthcare, but in non-life insurance, like car insurance specifically. In the past 10 years, not even 10 years, 7 years, we had models. Like, let's say if you go into an accident, you could snap a picture of your accident and submit it for your claim, and the AI would decide a little estimate. Okay, what's the damage? How much do we generally pay? And it'll process the claim. Now what we are seeing is that people are creating synthetic images of accidents and submitting it as claims, and that's getting processed and they're getting paid. I think most companies have stopped providing that facility. That is a risk we are also seeing in healthcare. I think only a few people get access to it, or few high credit worthy people get access to it. Not everybody gets access to that prior auth using AI. That's what's happening today. All right, so this is what is not working. In terms of what we can expect in the future, I think you will start seeing more AI. I think the three key areas where we are seeing a lot of attention being put up is virtual reality, wearables, and robotics. Wearables and virtual reality is already here. It's only going to intensify. Virtual reality, you may have seen, people using VR headsets to do remote surgeries. Now think of the same thing, but with GenAI. You can use that for, doing medical trainings or simulations. Basically, you can wear a headset, and then you can see what happens during a heart attack, or you can look at how specific episodes evolve in the human body live, right? Using VR headsets. That's possible because we have enough data sets, we have enough trained AI that can simulate that live. This is going to become more available or accessible because of advances in our technology and data as well. The second one is on wearables. You have Apple Watches that can do a lot of health monitoring already. Not a lot, but at least the basic ones. You will also see more advanced wearables that can do more sophisticated monitoring and even provide predictive insights. And I'm not talking something as simple as heart rate monitoring. It could be more advanced, like seizure detection before it actually happens, or an anomalous set of things that your body is signaling. Before you realize it, the devices will be able to detect it. And this is all powered by predictive AI models. That's going to become more common. The AI is getting more sophisticated, more smaller, more accessible. So this is going to become more prevalent. And the third one is robotics. Robotics will take some time to evolve, primarily because today we have language, we have images, we have audio, but the real world is a lot more complex, right? Something as simple as how the ground feels to us, the smells, the range of colors, and how we interpret it as humans is not something that we can easily translate to AI today. Or provide to a robot. The robot has to live in a three-dimensional world, right? It has to understand how to interact with that world. Even cars, even self-driving cars have not fully evolved. That is something that is still evolving, and you will see some of that becoming more accessible as surgical assistants or care robots in the future. But it'll take some time. I think there are models that are being trained now, but they're not as effective as some of the simpler models that we have today. I say simpler, but some of the models that we have today, I think robotics needs a lot more attention and a lot more data also. That's going to be something that will happen maybe 3-4 years down the line. Yeah, so these are the three areas that are evolving, and you should see that. Over time, you'll also see some digital avatars, like, you can probably see a virtual doctor assisting you. And this is happening in psychology already. Like, it's a dangerous zone, but you already have them. You have therapists that are AI powered. You can also get real-time clinical decision support. Instead of you calling a real doctor in a virtual call, you can have like a clinical assistant looking at your patient records and data and providing you some simple diagnosis. And if it feels that, okay, this might need a human intervention, it'll redirect you to the actual doctor for analysis. So that's happening. The third one is automated research. And this is the most exciting one for me. Now that we have a lot of healthcare data digitized, and some of these AI models have already learned this healthcare data, we can now combine knowledge from multiple sources. When I say multiple sources is, there might be specialists looking at research from a particular perspective, and there might be some other person looking at the same thing but from a different perspective. You can combine that knowledge and come up with new insights, right? Earlier, we would need a person looking at both these things and coming up with those insights. You can automate that with AI today. It can read millions of medical papers, look for patterns, and then say, hey, look, somebody in let's say Germany figured out something for a particular rare disease, and then maybe in the US they found the same thing but had a different conclusion. You can combine those insights and create new insights using this automated research. And this is not just happening in healthcare; it's happening in different subjects, right? Biology, even psychology to some extent. So this is happening. Even math. LLMs are being used to find new solutions to map math problems. So this automated research is another exciting area that will become more prevalent. Yeah, so this is what we can expect in the future. And with that, I think this is the last slide I have. I can take more questions, or if there are no questions, we can wrap the session.
Are there any questions? If there are any questions, then please raise your hand, or you can put your questions in the chat or question box. Right, I think there are no sessions and there are no questions. Thank you so much, Akbar, for that excellent session once again. And it's a privilege for us to have you and have you share your insights on this upcoming. It's already there on this domain, and look forward to having you again in the next
Sure.
batch again. Thank you so much, and thank you to all the faculty members. You would have all received a mail for the Future Skills Prime course. So I'll just request you to do the onboarding, which means you sign up and you give all your details so that your information is collected, like your address, your Aadhaar, and which college you are from. So if that is all done, you can go to groups. You will see the course. Please complete the modules so that you can take the assessment after that. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.